Well, it's got responsibilities now. You're running your own radio show station.
Well, not yet. It's hopefully soon, but I don't know. But I'm starting to worry about that one because I get big plans for it. And it's like, it seems like work.
Well, remember, the week after next, 16th, I won't be here.
What?
On holiday.
Holiday? You're always on holiday.
No, I'm not.
Where you
Anyway,
go? Where you going to Guernsey?
no, North Wales.
All
Oh,
right, we are about to come in. Here are the tunes, guys.
all right. Thanks. Yeah, Ben, Roy, whatever you. Roy,
Roy.
Roy.
Yep. All right, here we go.
Yep.
Come with us on a journey into the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. We will test your senses and challenge your beliefs. A world where science and religion clash. Or do they? You will meet real people and hear real stories, but you will not believe. You will witness strange sights and hear strange sounds, but you will not believe. This is the New England Ghost Project. Welcome to the nightmare.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Chronicles International. I am Ron Kolick, New England's own Van Helsing, and with me, my co-host, all the way from Wales, the Englishman himself, Mr. Stephen Parsons.
Hello.
How do you say, hello in Welsh? Do you know?
Borada. Well, there's lots of ways of Shemai
Uh,
is a generic. So Shemai is hello, whatever time of day. Then you've got
right?
huh?
Shemai?
Shemai.
Shemai. Hmm.
Then you've got good morning. So it would be Borada. Good evening, Nostar.
Hmm. I know Bom dia, which is good day in Portuguese.
Always useful.
I have Portuguese neighbors, so it's
Oh,
actually
well,
pretty good.
anyway, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Go ahead.
It's about the intro to this show. It bugs me every single week, but you will not believe.
I know.
So,
No, I
so
love it.
basically, you're telling the listeners that we're lying.
That's a whole bunch of crock. Yes, that's what I'm telling them. Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Anyway, changing the
I
subject.
know. Yeah, I know that bothers you for some
I
particular
know
reason.
it's always bugged me
I know you've mentioned it like 16,000 times. It's so funny, actually.
doing it, but you will not believe.
I mean,
Well,
it's the
bloody
you're
point
listening.
then.
It says you're listening to the New England Ghost Project, which was that intro was made like 21 years ago. So
Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
begs the question, but what's the bloody point of listening then? Or as saying anything? Don't do this, but you don't have to believe what I'm saying because it could be a crock of shit.
Mhm. It's just you'll be amazed what people are telling you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Anyway, I
Yeah,
did a thing.
you did thing.
I did a thing on Monday.
Then what is a thing?
Well, periodically, parascience, because we do investigate stuff occasionally.
Yeah,
Uh,
I thought I don't know if you hung it up. I haven't heard too much about you doing stuff, so I was like, oh, I wonder if he's
parascience,
retired.
parascience is still going, but it's coming to the end of a. Um, every few years, we look at the equipment and we go, "That's old. Keep that. That needs changing." So about a year ago, it takes about a year to do it because obviously it's cost.
Yeah.
So we've upgraded a huge amount of our equipment.
Ooh,
Uh, and this week it came to the final item, your favorite and mine, the
the REM
thermal,
pod.
no, the thermal imager.
Oh, you got a new one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what though, technology's improved. our first
Oh,
one,
it better improve. I hope you hate that he didn't go backwards.
it can do. But our first one, we bought in 2007.
It's probably
Although
high on my end. A little
we'd
after
use
that.
we'd use rental ones prior to that. If we were
Mhm.
doing a production, we would obviously get the production company. They'd say, "Well, what sort of equipment do you want? Oh, get us a thermal imager,"
Yeah, I
because
need
they
a
were.
need a
I,
machine
I I
convertible.
remember when we bought our first one, it was just shy of £4,000, and I
Oh
bought it
my
with
God.
proceeds. I bought it from the proceeds in Most Haunted, and
£4,000.
£4,000.
So it shoots video then.
No, no, the first one never did.
For
Uh,
£1,000, but just the thermal
yeah, well,
imager?
the very first ones, you couldn't shoot video. You could take still
Oh yeah,
pictures.
that's right. You know what? Well,
You pulled
um,
the trigger, and it looked like a gun type thing with
it
the
was
big.
a big, because when Dan Parson, God rest his soul, became a part of the team, he was a fire chief, and they had a thermal imager because they needed it for
Yeah,
in case they lose people in the fire and whatever. And yeah, that thing was huge, and it was extremely expensive. I forgot about that because I only paid under $2,000 for mine.
well, anyway, this one it had a. So you could take, yeah, I think you could take about 25 photographs before the internal memory was filled up.
Oh God, 25.
And it had a resolution of, are you ready for this? Are you
Oh,
sitting comfortably?
this ought to be
Uh,
good.
0.003 megapixels,
Good for you.
or 60 by 80 pixels, 60 pixels one way, 80 pixels the other. So,
Mm,
you can imagine it, and horrendously expensive.
mm.
And the proprietary batteries were about £150 each,
Oh yeah, because that's right too. Yeah.
and they fitted it. But we bought it, and we were obviously very proud. I think we were the first in the UK to have private, Parada Group with its own thermal imager.
Ooh,
And for about a year afterwards, we were, whenever we went somewhere on a public thing, or
you just flashed it. And this is
we
my thermal imager.
we were treated like gods.
Yeah.
Oh my
Everybody.
God, you've got a
Oh,
thermal.
he's got a thermal imager. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Well, time moves on. We've had several since, including the one I brought over to Spirit Quest one time, the one that plugs into the smartphone.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, obviously, they could record video and sound and picture
Mhm.
because they used the smartphone.
Right.
So it was like just a thermal camera add-on to the smartphone. It plugged in the base of the smartphone. Now, that first one cost £500,
Hmm.
but now you can get them on Amazon for around 150.
Yeah. Somebody I know has one. I don't.
Yeah,
I think I
but
do.
the resolution is still only about 128 by 96 pixels is about the average,
Mhm.
which you think it's not even VGA quality.
Mm.
Now I know some of the manufacturers cheat a little bit with the specifications and say, HD, because they use software to
Uh,
interpolate the image up to be the equivalent of.
yeah, augmented. Yeah.
Yeah, but the sensor itself is still only 128 pixels one way by 96 the other way.
Mm.
Well, technology improves, prices come down, and
Mm.
Monday, 640 pixels by 320 pixels, which is getting up there now. I mean, your top line ones are, well, £4,000 one today would buy you 1024 by 1280 pixels.
Mm.
So
Pretty good.
we're about halfway.
Still, that's damn good.
Yeah, but what this one's got is, for the first time ever, is optical zooming.
Oh, get out.
It has an optical zoom lens, not a digital zoom lens, where it doesn't just magnify the middle of the picture. It actually, you can actually zoom in using the lens itself. So the picture resolution stays,
So it's a movable lens then.
yeah, the lens moves in and out.
Oh, cool.
But of course, it's got because thermal images don't have glass lenses, they have germanium crystal lenses. because a glass lens would block the infrared.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So you have to have a special sapphire crystal or germanium crystal. That's why they have that weird silver color. So yeah, we upgraded. I upgraded the thermal imager to, and it is a beast of a thing. It's tiny by comparison. I mean, it's a standalone. Does video, does audio, it does still pictures. It's got a huge internal memory. It's got a smartphone app. They always have a smartphone app.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the smartphone app, but you can use the smartphone app.
Well,
So
that's so the government keep track on you, see what you're doing.
yeah, it's so that you could. Well, I mean, it's useful because you can set it up on a tripod and then you can remotely access it and turn it on and off and zoom in and out and do stuff.
Yeah, actually, what's funny is we got the Seance group got T-shirts, and we put them on yesterday. We took a picture, and Jim Stonia, who went to the dark side and got an Apple phone and Apple Watch, and he set up his little camera on a credit card tripod. I guess that's what they call it, and then he could actually activate it from his Apple Watch once he was in the picture.
Yeah.
So pretty freaking awesome. I mean, comparatively.
Well, welcome to the dark side, Jim. Some of us have been able to do that with our Apple Watches and the smartphones.
Yeah, I know it's dark side. Jim and I both,
Hey,
we still won't use an Apple computer, but that's besides.
Well, it gets even crazier because if you've got an Apple phone and you have AirPods, which are these little in-ear, not wired, Bluetooth connected, you can put them somewhere as a remote microphone.
Oh. That's interesting.
Providing you're within 100 feet of it.
Yeah. Jim, the DR60 recorder, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, the famous
I
one.
I know it well because about 2 months ago, I got myself one, finally.
Do I ask how much you paid for it?
£25.
Wow, that's good. They're going for huge dollars.
Yep. I was walking through the car boot sale.
There I know it. It must have been the car boot sale. I was thinking that in my head.
And there on a table, amongst there were several pairs of binoculars and pots and pans and brass ornaments. There was a camera in a box, and there was a Panasonic box. It said Panasonic digital voice recorder. And I did a double take, and it's a DR60.
Woo.
I would open the box. I thought, this isn't gonna. This is. It is. It is. Oh, look! It's never been used.
Oh, get out of here! It's never been used.
Had the instruction labels. It was still in.
Goodness gracious!
Inside
that is worth something now, right now on the internet.
Well, it's gonna be. So some experiments can be carried out now with the DR60.
Yeah. So, anyways,
talking to me. So yeah, we have a new thermal imaging camera.
So, anyways, back to the DR60. Yeah. What I
you're not excited by the thermal imaging camera.
No, I thought it was pretty cool, but I'll get back to that if you want to. But the DR60, they now somebody now I digitize it or something. You pay $20 for this app for your phone, which is a DR60 supposedly, and you're going to work it. So Jim, of course, who loves all kinds of crap, bought it, and he's going to try it when we go to the castle. So,
of course, it doesn't work.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
The app doesn't work.
You tried it?
I know it. I've had a copy of it for a while.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Why doesn't it work?
Well,
because it's basically not the same thing.
Essentially, that's correct, because the DR60 is a standalone recorder, and it takes an input from the built-in microphones, which aren't great.
No, not at all.
Through audio amplifier circuits, then an analog to digital converter. Then, obviously, it records the digital signal and the digital data from the analog to digital converter. So it converts the analog sound from the microphones via the analog to A to D converter. Now, the app version is using a different microphone in that it's using a much higher quality microphone.
Right off the bat, it's no good. Yeah. I mean, comparison-wise, it's not equal as far as
it doesn't have the same comparable A to D converter.
Yeah.
And crucially, the reason why the DR60 has always been so popular is because there's a manufacturing flaw.
Mhm.
The manufacturing flaw meant that what they did is they basically put in a very powerful audio amplifier that's too powerful for the little crap microphones that are in it. So you get a lot of amplification noise, which is what causes the electronic voice phenomena effect. Now, the smartphone
I know
is
you said effect and not you're not.
yeah. So you can't simulate it in software. You can make it sound like a DR60, but you're not ever going to get the anomaly of
It's
the
like
DR.
apples and oranges. You just not the same.
Yeah, it's like taking a tomato, painting it green, and calling it an orange. It might an apple. It might look the same. But it's not the same because it's missing that very important thing, and that's that audio amplifier chip that was the problem or the reason why the DR60 became so cult-like.
Yeah, it still is, by the way.
It's still
So did you
it
cover up
only
enough
looks
on your thermal imaging? I kind of went off track on you, so I didn't know if you covered everything you wanted to mention on your thermal
well,
imaging.
I
I'm
because
impressed by it. I told you that.
well, what impresses me most is the optical side of things because for the first time, you can use it indoors, obviously, in a small, relatively confined space like a room. But there are occasions when you're in a larger space or you want to see a greater distance, and you have to resort previously to digital zooming. And then, of course, as soon as you start to digitally zoom, you immediately degrade the quality. But this one, and the sensitivity of the sensor is at least orders of magnitude better than the older one. So you can see a lot more definition. So whereas before you could see a person, you could see if they had glasses on, you could see their hands, face, but you couldn't make out any detail. With the new higher resolution sensors and the more sensitive high resolution sensors, the amount of detail that can now be captured
So
is
is it a combination camera and thermal imager? In other words, that they're doing
yeah.
video at the same. I mean,
You
capture
can
of it.
do picture in picture, you can do so you can have two different settings. You can
No, but I
have
mean, are they really two different units in there? Is there one a visual camera versus a
no,
thermal
no,
imager,
it's
and
purely
then they're melded together?
no, it is purely a thermal camera.
Oh, okay.
There is no visible light.
I was
Uh,
interested in the detail. The
yeah,
detail.
no,
I
there
thought
is,
that's maybe how they did it.
well, with the smartphone plug-on digital
Mhm.
cameras, what they do is very clever. Actually, they take the image from the camera's own, the phone's own camera, and then
Yeah.
overlay it electronically over the
Yeah, that's
thermal.
how I thought that the new one was doing. That's what you were talking about. I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, the new one is just purely a thermal camera, but
Oh, that's pretty cool then.
but because the resolution is so high, you have
Mhm.
that level of detail as if you're using a visible light camera.
No, that's damn good.
And you are able to see detail that I've never seen before with a thermal camera. Now we're not even approaching, high end stuff, the ones that cost $4,000 or $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
we're not even in the same league as the military grade.
Cal's calling again.
Yeah, or we're not even in the same league as military thermal imaging.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference, in what 15 years,
Yeah.
in the technology is
You know,
really
you know, you know, technology's swell and everything else, but sometimes stuff are over engineered. My favorite example is the simple faucet. You have an old fashioned faucet. You turn it on, and it shuts. The valve open comes down, and open the valve, and you close the valve, and it starts leaking. There's a little washer. You replace the washer, and that's it. Now they get these all fancy little things. They spend they're much more money. They have all this stuff, and if something goes wrong, you are replacing cartridges, you're replacing this, and it's pretty much like motor cars too. It's the same way. They just like seem like they're over engineered for some jobs. I don't know why we like to do that, but we do.
Because we can. But that's not the problem with technology advancing.
No.
There is a much more pressing difficulty that every investigator now faces. And I was having a discussion with a member of the SPR about this just yesterday, because they often, ASAP often, I often get asked to look at some video footage or look at a photograph and comment upon it.
Yeah.
But within the last 6 months, about 6 months ago, I spent several £100 upgrading our image and video analysis software to the new packages. But about 6 months ago, or just after the upgrade, we realized that for the first time ever, AI is better than our ability to detect if an image has been tampered with. In other words,
AI can produce stuff that you can't tell.
AI can produce stuff that you can't. Unless you've got megabucks, you just can't tell the difference.
Wow.
And it's frighteningly accurate in what it can do. I was watching some sample videos that were produced with AI, and you know what? I was completely blown away. I just could not tell the difference between real life and AI.
That's what it's coming down to.
When I looked at the software wasn't having any, it was no better. The software went, yeah, that's perfectly fine. It's all legitimate, because the AI is rewriting the EXIF metadata in a way that's almost undetectable.
So in order to get proof, then you need, I think probably it seems like it's not so much the equipment that you need now, is that you need to have a unblemished reputation or credentials.
Well, it's got to the point now where, because AI is so fast and so capable, that you unless you have access to the original file, and exactly what device was used, because obviously an Apple smartphone, even the latest generation, can't do this sort of clever AI stuff. You need a powerful computer to do it. So if somebody just sends you a video file or a photograph or even a sound recording, unless you were actually almost present and can guarantee which device was used, you cannot be certain anymore that hasn't been, that it isn't genuine or that it hasn't been tampered with. You can't make any decision. And so we've reached a point now where, as an investigator, the technology is now so advanced that we simply have lost all faith in the evidence gathering ability of a camera, a video camera, or an audio recorder. So effectively, they are now lost tools, because it used to be the case that, a photograph, a photo tells 1,000 words, or a photograph could be teased apart. You could look at the negative in the early days. You could look at the metadata on a digital image, and you could work your way through it and see if it was legitimate, or what often what the cause was, if it was some sort of image anomaly. But now you can't.
Sad, very sad.
So we've now reached the point where we can't ever, we were saying that should we even accept photographs, videos, or audio clips when people say, help, my house is haunted, I've got this video to prove it?
Well, that's what I was saying. It seems like they are acceptable if you have the credentials or the reputation
Yeah.
as a honest investigative team, investigator, or facility of any sorts. That's to me, it seems like the only way
Yeah.
is
We
based
can't
on
just accept now, a an emailed photograph.
right.
Because the issue is when people send, you say to them, okay, that's an interesting photograph. Can I have the original file to look at? What they do now is they tend to send it via social media messaging or
Oh,
WhatsApp or Snapchat
mm,
or whatever. But each of those changes the image because when you upload a photograph to Facebook, or when you send a photograph via Facebook, or when you copy a photograph from your camera and save it to your computer, at every step it changes the image.
mhm.
So you're not seeing the original. The only way to ever get to the original is to get the original device, plug a computer into it, and effectively, instead of copying it, you clone the file
Oh yeah,
across.
yeah, that makes sense.
And is that going to happen when somebody says, help, my house is haunted? Well, have you got any evidence? Yes, I've got a photograph. So that, or can you send it me? Can you send me the original? And they you realize that they're going to send it that way, and you say, well, actually, no, I'm going to have to come to your house now, and I'm going to have to plug in a device to your phone that's going to
If it's still on there, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I'm going to have to take that, take your phone, connect a cable to it, connect it to my device, and physically clone the data across.
mm.
The, the amount of hassle factor in that, 99% of people are just not going to go, and they might live some distance away.
Yeah.
So we've now reached a point where we cannot, the software has become so effective at creating stuff that we can't trust it anymore. And that's actually that's a paradigm shift in investigating. That
Mhm.
it's a situation that's never ever happened before, because in all of the other systems we were cleverer than the system, and we could tell if an image or a sound recording had been manipulated or played with in some way, right the way back to when they used to airbrush negatives with in the analog days or retouch them. We
Mm.
can't anymore. We just can't. We have lost effectively. Um,
A
I
way
mean,
of verification.
yeah, we can still make educated best guesses.
Yeah.
But if you say to somebody, oh well, yeah, I've had a look at your photograph and it's lens flare or it's an insect or it's whatever, they'll go, well, can you prove it? And you go, well, no.
Can you prove it?
So so that's your credibility gone.
Mm.
And it is something that most people, I don't think, have actually realized this paradigm shift in the way that evidence can be trusted any longer. We can't trust it anymore.
And so that's the shoe is also on the other foot for all this, the skeptics who say, "Oh, that's thing. Can you prove that it is like you said?" And it's they can't say that that's it. That basically,
They
unless they
can't.
have
They
what you.
can't.
Yeah, interesting.
So, the pendulum has swung completely against investigators or
Mm,
reasonable investigators, and very much if you want to make a ghost photograph, literally now you can do it. And I did it as a public demonstration a few weeks ago. You can
mm,
do it in real time with no delay on your phone. You can take a picture of an object and you can put a ghost in that picture. And as soon as you've finished pressing the shutter, you can show people, and there's the ghost. It's that
mhm.
fast.
Yeah,
It's really, something we need to consider.
interesting. But yeah, we have to go anyways because we're taking a break here. So you're listening to Ghost Chronicles International, if you're still listening. I am Ron Kolick, and he is Steve Parsons, right here on TogiNet Radio, where all good podcasts are being played. And we're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts, the Glant Messier Family Law Group, 55 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, our very good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon. Become a member, and also go on to Estee and get Reiki infused candles from Positively Brilliant. So we'll be right back after the following messages.
Do you have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net or call 978-455-6678.
Located in Illinois, there lies a sleepy little town where nothing is a common occurrence.
You going to that party in town tonight?
Heck yeah! I only turned 18 once.
That is until the night of celebration.
Where the hell is she? Oh no. 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 No, Jessica!
What's happening?
From the creators of Shadowhunters, Bite Me, comes a tale of primal terror and grindcore mayhem. Shadowhunters, kill, Jessica, kill!
Are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
And welcome back to the second half of the first half of tonight's 2 hours of Ghost Chronicles Absolute Mayhem with him over there and me over here. And you
crazy.
Sitting at home with your feet up, a chocolate biscuit and a nice cup of tea.
Oh, I didn't know it was that long. I'm sorry. I cut it into it. Anyway, so I had Chris Belzano, who does Tripping on Legends, which is looking at...
Americans, I've always wondered about Americans. They can't seem to be able to walk in a straight line without falling over, tripping over everything.
So anyways, and we got into a little discussion. And to me, I was saying that if a event is repeatable, that it could be studied scientifically. And to him, he thought it was more important to know the backstory of the event more than the event itself. And I thought that no, you would see if the event really happens and that is repeatable, and then you can fill in the backstory later, figure that out, sort it out later. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's a bit vague, isn't it? I mean,
Well, it's not vague. I mean, you look at
yeah,
any of
it
the
does.
major. Go ahead.
What do you mean by backstory, or what did
Okay,
Chris?
so you look at any of the major uh, legends or whatever you want to call them. You drive down a road and you see a shadow in the thing. If you turn your lights off, but you turn it, the shadow gets closer. If you turn the shadow lights off again, it comes closer, and then turn it off again, and it's right on top of you. Yada yada. So he likes to dig into what is the story behind this? Why is this phenomena taking place? And if it's repeatable, which a lot of legends supposedly are, then they could be uh, captured scientifically or proven actually scientifically. Uh, so to me, that is the first thing. That's probably more important than what the hell the story is behind it. And uh, once you've been able to prove that this anomaly exists, then you can figure out what it is afterwards. What's your thoughts?
Oh, you're not going to like this, but I'm going to agree with you on this one
Oh my God, no!
because the if you can capture it because it is a repeatable event that continues, so it's ongoing and happens again and again and again.
Mhm.
If you can demonstrate that it's a genuine anomaly by capturing it, you also partially answer the backstory. So you get two birds with one stone there. I
Well, you
remember
don't
having,
know. Well, okay, you have to explain that because I'm not sure how you captured the backstory.
well, you often the backstory comes from multiple people experiencing the same phenomena and then
Okay.
trying to rationalize it. So, if regarding the shadow, you'll have lots of different theories from
Yeah,
people who, yeah, but
yeah.
you can't definitive. So you've got lots of backstories
Hmm.
potentially,
Right.
but if you can explain it or understand the phenomena by measuring it, by capturing it, and um,
Unrepeatable. It's got to be repeatable.
examining it,
Yeah.
then you can then compare that to the backstories and suggest which ones are plausible and which ones are implausible.
And if
Uh,
you really want, you can dig into these backstories a little bit
yeah,
more and see the
well, you can find
validity
out
of.
you will learn something about the potential origin of the backstory.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I remember having a discussion many, many years ago at the SPR at a conference, and it related to electronic voice phenomena.
Mhm.
And one of the proponents of electronic voice phenomena always said the most important thing to him was understanding the words, the phonemes, the utterances that were recorded, because they that could reveal something of the message. And I said, no, I disagree. The first thing that is important to find is, where is the recording coming from? Is it a real event? Is it something within the machine? Because if it's not a real event, in that, is it, you need to know before you waste any time trying to understand what it is, what it's saying, is you need to know where it's coming from. So if your EVP you can demonstrate comes from a taxi cab or an FM radio station or even a passing, police car or aircraft, then you will obviously have a greater insight into the message itself. But also, you might not need to worry about the message at all because it might be utterly irrelevant. Like if it's the local taxi cab company, it's of no interest, so you don't need to waste any time.
True.
So, but Barrett, the person I was talking to suggested that no, the message was more important than the
No.
origin. And I said, no, the origin is more important than the message because you could save yourself a heap of time and trouble. If it's got a mundane, obvious cause, then that's saved you several hours.
But so let's look at the Hack Shack or any of those spirit boxes things, which is basically taking radio stations, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we know where the words are coming from. They're coming out off the air. So what makes it paranormal that we are able to fit those words that come off the air to an event that we're familiar with, or what makes it paranormal? That's the thing I don't understand to it. So I know you've had experiences, and I've had experience that kind of surprised us. But
right from the very earliest days of electronic voice phenomena, they've predominantly always used a radio frequency source. Raudiva did, Jurgensen before him. They all used radio frequency devices in one form or another to obtain the initial voice utterance. Then it was recorded by tape or later by digital. Now, the Shakak is simply a derivation of another device called the Franks box.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Franks box is actually a weird hybrid device because it uses radio and it uses an acoustic echo chamber. Basically, a big metal box with a speaker at one end of it and a microphone at the other end of it, whereby the spirits are supposed to interject their own words onto the radio the words that are coming from the radio speaker, which is then the combined noise is then picked up by the microphone and disseminated to a recorder, where it's then teased apart and listened to and analysed and picked over. Now, the Franks boxes were quite rare. There was only a dozen or so ever made. But they, because of their appearance on the media, they gave rise to this legend that you could have this, I suppose, holy grail device, which offered real-time, instantaneous spirit recordings. And in fact, one of the names for EVP was RTSC, real-time spirit communications. Because previously to the invention of the Franks box, you did have the Meeks Spiricom and a handful of other devices that did something similar, but they were, they required a rack, a huge room of stuff. You couldn't take it into a haunted house, but the Franks box was small and portable enough that you could. And it was shown on the media, and people, I want one of them. I want one of them. So people took the idea of, they took the components of the Franks box and made it even more portable and even more affordable by simply taking out, at least half of the Franks box. They took out the metal container with the speaker and the microphone and the expansion chamber, and simply relied on the speaker on the radio, and then people listening or recording that. And they found quite quickly that there was no real significant difference, that people still heard these disjointed voices, these weird utterances. And of course, every psychologist will tell you, and you yourself have experienced, pretty much if you ask, a question of a Franks box, of a Shakak, you will get the answer that you want.
pretty much, because it's
You're
sort of that
pretty
much.
much, because you've primed the pump and psychology kicks in and blah blah blah. But there are a very few limited occasions where, and it's been documented in EVP laboratories as well, where you get this genuinely anomalous audio, which seems overlaid and separate from the background chatter of the FM or the AM radio, which is that constant.
I love that. Nobody else does, but I do.
I don't. It irritates the hell out of me.
I know it irritates everybody but me. I love it. It's
So
like,
what you get is all these chopped up bits of word, and you can buy computer programs. That you can take any recording and chop it up and use it for EVP purposes. And people will still get positive results, but occasionally, very very occasionally, you will get a voice which is obviously not part of that chopped up radio or audio, that sort of staccato bits of words, half words, and that constant as it jumps around the frequency dial, which the Frank's box didn't do because it had an analog tuner, so it was stepless. And those EVPs are much more interesting because clearly something is impinging itself or overlaying itself or interfering in an intelligent way with or riding on top of the radio audio.
yeah.
Now there are known psychoacoustic events called it was just on the tip of my tongue now and it's just gone. Stochastic resonance, where you will hear, and this is used by these little tiny in-ear speakers, and you can still hear really deep bass, and you wonder, why can I hear bass? And because it isn't really there. These speakers cannot produce those deep frequencies, but your ears can hear them. Except your ears don't hear them. Your brain fills in the gap. So it kind of it's kind of a psychoacoustic trick. But this is a different thing from even that. There is clearly something very unusual happening. It doesn't happen very often. In fact, in all my years, I can only think of 4 times when it's ever happened. One of which was during an event at the lighthouse at Portsmouth Harbour, and 3 in the UK. But that's out of hundreds and hundreds of different experiments. So it is, is it worth doing? I mean, I do the ASAP training. I run the ASAP training programs, and we do not encourage or promote the use of electronic voice phenomena in haunted locations because it is so deeply potentially flawed that it's unscientific. So we don't encourage it or support it or promote it at all. That's not to say that EVP research is valueless. EVP research in controlled laboratory EVP laboratories is highly valuable.
That's what I was going to ask you about. EVP laboratories. Now, do you really have to be in a haunted location? I guess is the answer to speak to that.
Because none of the EVP laboratories or EVP research, the sort of serious high level stuff that's looking at just electronic voice phenomena, the idea that spirits can communicate with the living via electronic means, none of that has ever been done in a haunted house. This is entirely a made for television. The Frank's box was made for television. All of the subsequent other versions of it, the Shack Hack, which takes what used to be a $5 Radio Shack
I
basic.
miss Radio Shack.
Yeah, so do I. I used to love going to Radio Shack.
Me too. They had everything you needed.
And things you didn't know you needed.
That's true too.
But you still went home with them.
Yeah. But
look, darling, I've got the coolest thing. And the response was always, "That's nice, dear.
Yeah.
This could change the world." Yeah, well, once you
nice,
made it. But that's a whole different show. I don't think I would ever encourage anybody to waste their time or money on an EVP recorder. These digital Chinese predominantly cut to, hacked about broken radios, as I'm so fond of calling them.
Yeah, me too. You
will get some fantastic EVPs, but they're not real EVPs.
What about this rage of the Estes thing, experiment, or whatever they call it, where you have someone who's in a entirely different location somewhere asking questions and yada yada.
Yeah, utterly pointless, isn't it? Because what you've got there is, and we've talked about this before, is so I give you a pair of headphones, I send you off to the other end of the room or the building.
Yeah.
Or no, they're always nearby, and you plug your headphones into your Hack Shack radio and you sit there listening for whatever it is you think you're hearing. Meanwhile, I'm somewhere else asking a bunch of questions. And then at the end of it, or actually it works better if the person with the headphones on is in the room. So they can shout out, like, "If you can hear my name, how many of us are in the room?" And then the person with the headphones will shout, "Blue!" But occasionally they'll shout out something that's relevant.
And that's the thing they remember, just pretty much like a platform medium. If they'll say several things.
Yeah, or can be made to seem relevant.
Yeah.
Because there are no wrong answers with EVP. One of the, you say, okay, you've got 10 people in a room. And you say, right, okay, spirits, if you can see us, tell us over the radio how many people are in the room. All right. So supposing it says 43. So somebody shouts, "I heard 43. Well, the assumption then is, well, there's obviously, 10 of us, 34 of them, 33 of them.
Yeah, I know that was going to come. Yeah.
If it says 4, and they say, "Oh, I heard the number 4. Well, that's only, it's 10 of us, it's 4 spirits. Tell us how many spirits there are." There are no wrong answers with EVP.
Yeah. In the same way, I was watching when I was really laid up with my back.
There's one other really, really good way with EVP that you will never get the wrong answer to, which is, "Spirit, can you say my name?" And you think, well, your name is really distinctive. It's Ron or Steve. So everybody's listening to it and you go, "Right, say my name, say Ron." I heard Ron.
Yeah. I was, it was so bad. I was watching when I was really laid up. I was listening to this team that went into the Wyndham restaurant after they got sold. And, oh my God, of course they were doing a YouTube channel. So that was it. And they were doing this thing and it said, Alice. It's like, oh my God, my sister-in-law's name is Alice. She must be, so what the hell has that got to do with anything? It's like, is she still alive? Yeah, but that means it's for me. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, it's how we want. We want to. You mentioned this on the show that when someone's speaking and we're just listening to it, we kind of like the me too. You want to be part of it, so you kind of like, oh yeah, that's got something to do with me.
I have witnessed some of the most extraordinary grabs. Where I wish I could remember, an example, but where somebody shouts out, "It just said frog." You think, okay, so That's got nothing to do with this medieval castle that that we're all in the middle of the night. And it said frog. Well, that's obviously a mistake. And somebody said, "Oh no, but there were French people in the castle."
That's a good one.
Not people will absolutely clutch at straws to make the answer fit.
Right.
Whatever they're hearing fit. And so you have got unbelievable levels of expectation, unbelievable levels of confirmation bias, unbelievable levels of pump priming, lots of psychoacoustics going on. And there are never a wrong answer with an EVP experiment, ever. They are like, and the other thing with them is you will take almost the hardened skeptic, and I'm sure you've seen it. I don't believe in any of this spirit rubbish, and they can't talk to the dead people on radios. You put an EVP, leave it on for 5 minutes, and let them sit through an experiment. It's like crack cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Even hard-nosed skeptic, I don't believe it. Come out and go, oh, that was really I'm convinced now.
No, I heard EVP of the bell ringing from Notre Dame. So, yeah,
my boy was there last weekend.
In Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Really?
Notre Dame à Paris.
Wow.
He just come back from No, he went on a school trip to Paris.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And next year, the other one's going on a school trip to the World War I battlefields of Belgium.
Oh, that's damn nice.
And now I'm really envious of that one.
Yeah. I sent my son to Russia back in the day.
Yeah, but he came back.
Yeah, I know. It failed. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, we do have to wrap up.
You just said that out loud then.
I did. Anyways, your list, yeah, so it's been interesting. I don't know where half these shows gonna go, of course, because
I know my bank balance. I know where half my bank balance has gone.
Yeah, really. I know who it is. It's in your stupid thermal imager.
It's not stupid. You're just jealous again.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, you've been listening to Ghost Chronicles International right here on TojiNet Radio with Steve Parsons and Ron Kolick, and become a member of our Lake John in the chat room of our
Society.
What is it?
The Dead Parrots Society.
Yeah, something like Dead Parrots. No, Dead Air Society. Yes,
if you got Python Fang, you'd have understood that immediately.
Fine. Anyways, go to Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon. And anyways, we're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts, the Glant Recipe Family Group, 55 High Street, not the end of Massachusetts. Good night, everyone. Stay tuned for Ghost Chronicles Next Generation, where we look into your dreams. Ooh.
Don't you want to look in mine? Oh.
It's definitely don't want to listen to mine. Good night, everyone.